All right, before we get into today's episode, I got 2 Dale Jr. hats to give away that he signed for us this week in Richmond. All you got to do, make sure you're subscribed and drop a comment. Maybe I'll pick you. Enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome on back. It's the Rubbin' His Racing podcast. It's brought to you by NASCAR. Only 4 races are left in the regular season here. And we've had a great regular season so far. And we're going to keep that momentum going heading into Michigan. I think it's Irish Hills, Michigan. Brooklyn, Michigan, Irish Hills. It's got my name all over it. Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Time, the Cabo Wabo 250 is going to be the Xfinity race. You can catch that on NBC. That's on NBC this weekend. And then Sunday, the big boy, at 2:30 Eastern Time, the Firekeepers Casino 400. Again, 2:30 on Sunday. You can catch that on USA. We're ending strong. We're going to races or tracks at least just about every week, and we're trying to do it on NASCAR's dime whenever we can, and we appreciate the support. We're doing a bunch in this episode. We thought like the dog days of summer would give us nothing to talk about, and it seems like the opposite is true. We're going to have Hailie Deegan come on in a little bit to talk about what's going on with SRX. We happened to bump into her, and we thought there's nobody better to talk about than somebody who actually races in it. We're going to go over the ride-along that kind of half happened in Richmond this weekend, one of the most humiliating days of my life. We're going to preview all the races. But first, I think as a podcast, collectively, we'd like to thank Denny Hamlin for coming on last week. We are lucky enough to talk to whoever we want. I mean, you guys know that. We get to talk to everybody. Spider, it's like, give us this guy, and we get it. But NASCAR is a little special where drivers tend to give stock answers for the most part. They don't take chances, and they're always very protective of their brands and whatnot. This isn't all the time. I mean, some drivers are down to fuck. Denny is down to fuck.
Yeah.
Denny says stuff that's sound biteable, clippable, all that stuff. And so as Spider and I are speaking to him, Quiggs is in the background with wide eyes and a fucking erection you could rest a cheeseburger on because he knows we can clip all those little things. And, and it doesn't always work out for Denny. He got booed at his home track this weekend, and I don't think he cares. He doesn't care. So he's built different. So when he comes on, it's an absolute pleasure. Actions Detrimental is his podcast. It's a competing podcast for all intents and purposes. So when he comes on, it's very, very nice for him. So shout out to him. We'll go right into headlines, right? And this headlines segment is going to involve a special segment of Spidey Scoops. So I'll get past the unimportant stuff first. Xfinity gets the TV deal. Xfinity got the bag.
They did.
Yeah. It's 7 years, $800 million. I think $115 million.
So much money.
Yeah. I think that number is skewed from what I understand because NASCAR is producing the broadcast.
Yeah.
So then whatever NASCAR spends on the broadcast, they'll take away from that $115 million. So I don't think that's a clean number. But still, it seems like a great deal. The onus is on the CW now. Everybody has CW. I know it's Channel 9. Like when people say go to FS1, go to USA, some people are confused. They don't know where the hell it is. But most people know where the CW is. And the onus is on them because we judge Fox versus NBC all the time. And now we're going to judge Fox versus NBC versus the way that CW or NASCAR produces this thing. How do you guys feel about the deal? How big is it for Xfinity? And is it bad for Cup? Because, NASCAR Cup Series has had the benefit of packaging themselves along with the Xfinity to whatever venue they go to. So you can have both and then run one on USA and run one on NBC. They don't have that luxury anymore. And
Go ahead. I think it's great for Cup. I'm just looking at it. If this is what Xfinity's going for, hopefully the Cup Series will get even more. I mean, obviously they're going to be more sought after, but this answers the bell for everything that NASCAR fans were asking of NASCAR with the TV deal, in my opinion. People wanted it accessible. They didn't want it behind a paywall or an immense cable subscription. And that's what we're getting. So, I mean, everyone, as long as you have a TV and maybe one of those super cheap antennas, you'll be able to watch. You don't even need a cable subscription from how I understand. So, I think it's a win-win. And hopefully the Xfinity Series can drive in more eyes, and then that will turn into more eyes on the Cup Series, especially, like I said, if everyone can get this on their TV.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's one of those things where it's somebody different entering the game. Like there may be things people don't like, but sort of like how NFL and XFL, like if they do some innovative things on the Xfinity broadcast that are really cool, that kind of forces NASCAR to start doing that on their broadcast.
Non-traditional shit.
It should just make everything better. Like there may be some kinks in the beginning, but I think it'll be good. But I don't know. Like the CW's, I don't know. It seems a little outdated. I don't know. I don't know much about. So is the CW totally separate, or is it like owned by
I think it's owned by CBS.
Okay, so
I believe it's owned by CBS.
Not an NBC or yeah.
So it's an affiliate, I believe, and we can check that if you want, but I believe it is. But like either way, you're right. Like it's, you know, Channel 11, Channel 9, like all those secondary and tertiary channels, but still, it's a secondary league too. I see there's some draw to me watching qualifying and practice laps and being able to float right into Xfinity on the same channel. Like now, after qualifying gets done at the track, you know, people are going to have to hunt over to CW. So maybe there's not that natural lead-in that the Xfinity was able to enjoy with NASCAR. But other than that, it seems like a great number, and it seems like it's going to be very easy for me just to tell you every week, because it does get a little convoluted that they jump around. All right, this is from The Athletic regarding Kaulig's empty seat and the future of Legacy. I'm going to read this pretty much word for word, which will bring up a question, and then I think Spider's got something big to add to it. So this is from The Athletic. One name frequently cited by industry sources is Austin Hill. Hill checks 2 big boxes. This is in regards to Kaulig's seat with Hailie leaving. Hill checks 2 big boxes that will fulfill Kaulig's criteria. He has talent. He's won 6 Xfinity races since the beginning of the 2022 season and brings funding with him. But Hill is in demand, with Kaulig not the only one he has before him. He recently told The Athletic that it was 50-50 whether he'd move to Cup or return to Xfinity. So that's them saying that Austin Hill isn't a done deal to jump in Justin Haley's seat, right? And then on Legacy Motor Club, this year hasn't gone how the rebranded Legacy Motor Club hoped. Obviously, it hasn't, in part due to its forthcoming switch from Chevy to Toyota. Somewhat surprisingly, one such change may be related to the 24 driver lineup. According to people with direct knowledge of the discussions, but not authorized to speak publicly, that change could see Noah Gragson leave and John Hunter Nemechek, who Toyota is high on, taking over driving duties of the number 42 car in 2024. So if Nemechek replaces Gragson in Legacy's new Toyota and you were Kaulig, would you rather Austin Hill or Noah to fill Haley's spot? That's the first thing I'm going to ask you. Do you like that? And the second thing, is all this worthless because you have a couple of blockbuster deals that might be happening that only you are privy to, Spider? The platform is yours.
So I feel like I'm Charlie from Always Sunny on that big like board crossing together like a detective trying to figure out how this is all going to go. I don't know what this means for Noah Gragson. I think we still need a little time to pass. I'm working the field hard to try to get scoops and bring you stories on the latest with Noah Gragson.
We'll take them from anyone.
Anyone
who's got scoops, send them Spidey's way.
No, that's not true. Anyone who's close to the team and involved in the sport, I'm here for. But that being said, I think to answer your question, Large, I would consider, if I'm Kaulig, trying to get Noah and Austin and just have 2 young guns that I could just build and run with. They got great equipment. They got great cars. It seems like Quig's got something to say, rebuttal to that. So what do you got, Quig?
No, I was just...
So they got to kick out...
Your answer was just, why not both?
Dinger?
Why not both? Why not both? Dinger's a guy who's made his bread and butter off Xfinity racing. Don't get me wrong; he's had success in the Cup Series as well.
Right.
But there's also been times where he's had like post-race interviews where he seemed kind of out on certain tracks. Or I mean, not to say that that's not going to exist in Xfinity, but if I'm Matt Kaulig, sorry, last week I called him Brad. Matt Kaulig. I'm trying to go for both of them, and that might be a hot take, a bad take. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of potential with those 2 young guns.
I think Gragson's a guy you want on your team. Like Gragson's got a lot of personality. I think he's great for sponsors. Like he seems like a very sponsored guy for a lot of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Austin Hill is great, but he's great in the Xfinity series. So is Noah Gragson.
Mm-hmm.
Noah Gragson was very dominant. I think I'd rather have Noah just from everything you get from him.
But do you think he's being judged unfairly too, considering that they've been essentially in go-karts lawnmowers this year?
Yeah, Legacy's kind of a joke.
Right. I mean, Eric Jones hasn't. I know he's had a couple of good weeks. Eric Jones, we had mentioned him as an overperformer last week, but otherwise, I think in general, Legacy had a down year. They're not making Noah a scapegoat by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he deserves a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. And what he does for sponsors, I think, makes up for some of the shortcomings even.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think it's really tough to judge him off 1 year, especially when you have a manufacturer that's leaving your team in the next following year. So I think he deserves much better opportunity. And if you look at it, Eric Jones is a guy with a couple years now under his belt in the Cup Series, whereas Noah Gregson's first year, and they pretty much finish around the same spot a lot of these races. So if Noah can do it without the experience in the similar equipment, I think he's definitely deserving of more Cup looks.
He's had a tough year when you think about it. I mean, if you're looking at sound bites and clips from the year, he got, I mean, it couldn't have been more publicly punched in the face.
Hard.
He had that awful haircut when he lost the bet. Then there was I think it was the street race. Didn't Gregson hit the wall 6 or 7 times?
Yeah.
He couldn't keep himself off the wall. He's had some pretty well, in which the Wendy's rep was like, if he's not winning, at least he's getting us a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
As much as you mentioned sponsorship, Quigs, I'm pretty sure Wendy's and Black Rifle are only on his car for a select number of races. As much as that's true, they seem to really get a lot out of him in their small appearances. But I feel like it's been like Wyndham or Sunseeker or whatever the gray scheme is he's been running.
Resort, yeah.
I wondered if he was to make a move and stay within Cup, right? So that would be what we're talking about here, maybe to Kaulig. Does Black Rifle Coffee go with him? Does Wendy's? I mean, we know the guy from Wendy's. I guess we could ask the question, or you will.
I'm working the field, as I said. Stay tuned for any and all Noah Gregson scoops.
No, I mean, I love it. But I wondered whether they go with him or if their ties are to Legacy versus being for no. Because we spoke to the guy from Wendy. We don't need to drop his name or anything. We spoke to him. They're thrilled with what he's done as a brand ambassador. So we're Team Noah Gregson here.
Yeah, we should have Tommy Smokes hit him up. He could probably assist with the scoop there.
Right, exactly.
The other thing I thought was interesting is there's a lot of uncertainty with Martin Truex, who drives the Bass Pro Shops car. If you talk about Noah's success in Xfinity, I feel like every win he had was in that Bass Pro Shops Johnny Morris 9 car. So if Martin Truex decides to hang it up, rather, do you think maybe we could see Noah? I mean, I'm not saying I don't know. Maybe he takes some of that sponsorship and fills the void left by Martin Truex somewhere. Not sure
Maybe
where.
The Bass Pro Shops will run 2 schemes in the same race, though, a lot of times.
This week, I think they did, and I was struggling to figure out whether it was Truex or Austin Dillon.
What do you think of the chances that I get some free merch from those guys? Honestly, I know we've been keeping up this
from
narrative.
Truex or from Bass Pro?
From Truex.
It's the same thing.
I'm going to knock him. I mean, I'm going to knock on his door.
He owes
for
it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% he does. What else? What else is there on the Spidey Scoops radar?
So we were at the track this week speaking to people close to JRM, I will say, not Dale Jr. himself, despite how much fun we had when we'll talk about that, our little ride-along experience.
Yeah, right.
But I like to ask leading questions, and I asked, hey, is Brandon Jones going to be returning to JRM next year? And I don't know if this person, again, close to the team, told me what I wanted to hear or just tried to dodge the question, but they kind of said with certainty that he would be returning. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. If there's one thing I've learned from this game, in order to, you have to trust people, especially if they're involved and close to the team. The same thing happened with Kyle Busch. I did not believe the scoop I was given when I was given it, but at the end of the day, that's another person that was pretty involved with the team. So I took a flyer on it, I reported it, and then the news just kind of trickled from there. We saw Samantha Bush posting Instagrams in front of Chevy Trailblazer, and then fast forward another 2 months, this Kyle Busch and Richard Childress are doing a press conference announcing that he'll be driving the 8 next year. So this is a new source, a first-time source. I'm probably going to give it a confidence level of like B, whereas my Montreal scoop, my Kyle Busch scoop were strong A's, and I believed heavy into those. This also came before Sam Mayer won the Xfinity race at his home track of Road America in Wisconsin for JRM. It was just hours before I was informed and told that Brandon Jones would likely be returning, and I don't know if that changes things now. I don't know if maybe Sam Mayer has safety and they're reevaluating where Brandon Jones is at. I don't know if this Noah Gragson news and the fact that his job at Legacy might be in jeopardy, if that does anything to the scoop. But as a NASCAR big journalist, capital J, it is my duty to ask the important questions and report them back to the people, and I feel like that's what I did. We'll see what happens.
Okay. So the one sentence on this Spidey scoop is
Brandon Jones will return to JRM in 2024. So I'm told.
That's the clip. And we got B confidence in it. That's enough for me. We'll finish the headlines by talking about SRX. Kyle Busch dominated SRX on Thursday night, but the bigger headline coming out of SRX was that Paul Tracy's getting tossed. He's getting thrown out for an undetermined amount of time. So we decided to go to a source instead of trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And when we were down in Richmond, we happened to bump into Hailie Deegan, who rides in SRX just about every week. So instead of guessing or anything like that, we're going to go 3 wide right now with Hailie Deegan and get to the bottom of it. All right, so as promised, we're here with Hailie Deegan. We're 3 wide with Hailie Deegan. We're going to chat about what's going on in SRX. For people who don't know, Hailie is 22-year-old, competes full-time in the Truck Series, driving to number 13 for Thor Sport Racing. She's also one of the first people to get my old ass involved in NASCAR because I happened to do a show with her in Daytona years ago. Spider and I were down in Daytona years ago, and that was the first time I had the pleasure of meeting Hailie and her dad. Your family were there too, which was very nice. I have to apologize from the onset. Spider and I had bumped into you in Richmond when we were down there last week, and I casually mentioned the death of Uber driver Debbie. Uber driver Debbie was on that trip, and I just kind of act like everyone knows about it, as if it was Michael Jackson's death. So he said it kind of nonchalantly, and I thought that you were somewhat upset by it. Obviously, you know, rest in peace, Debbie, and whatnot. So maybe I could have handled that with a little more plum. This interview is going to go a lot more smooth.
It's okay. I mean, I would like to know. So especially since I was able to do that show with her and stuff, she was super, super nice. So yeah. Rest in peace, Debbie.
Yeah, she was an absolute sweetheart. Let's get to it. So they bounced Paul Tracy. Paul Tracy is a punk. That's my words. So he's been sending people into the wall.
Those are your words, not mine.
Yeah. The Superstar Racing experience is supposed to be relatively friendly. You have the biggest names in racing going in there and racing on Thursday nights, and Hailie is there racing every week. So she happened to get caught up in one of these latest wrecks that was caused by Paul Tracy, which eventually got him bounced from SRX for an undetermined amount of time. We don't know if he's banned for life or whatever. Talk to us about the incident from a first-person perspective, please.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really see exactly what he did on the straightaway. By what I was told when I got out of the car, in like the interviews I saw, I think he just cleared himself on the straightaway, which I could be off on this because I don't know IndyCar racing and like his past and stuff, like how it's kind of worked. But in his perspective of things, but when you have a door on somebody, I saw his interview about having a door on somebody and clearing himself on them. I don't know if that's how in IndyCar racing, if you got a door on them, like they're expected to check up. But in stock car racing, it's not like that. Until you're clear, like you're not clear until you are fully clear. Your car is in front of their car. So, I mean, it's happened to me quite a few times, getting cleared upon in the SRX stuff by him. So I understand. But I think he just cleared himself on the straightaway and then caused a big pile up, which I hate that for the SRX series because there's a lot of money invested into that series. It's a new series. They got a lot of new partners. They don't have as many cars to be able to go. It's not like there's backup cars for every single person. They are on the road for 6 weeks straight, and they have to bring a certain amount of cars to every race. And they don't really plan on coming home back to North Carolina to rebuild cars. So when they have to go do that, it's a lot of work. Like, I was talking to my car chief, and he said he's probably slept a total of 8 hours just in that week from race to race. So that's a lot of work on those guys. I hate it for the guys that have to put in the hours and after hours work to get those cars ready, because junking them's just not cool for them.
Are you cool with the with him being banned?
I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, like, I sure it sucks from his side, and if I was in his position, I wouldn't like that, and I wouldn't be happy about it. But I mean, I enjoy clean racing. I enjoy racing hard, but still making it clean.
So following off that, Paul Tracy removed from the series. There's an open seat to fill. And if it were up to Hailie Deegan, who would you want to add into the SRX series? Is there another driver, maybe a veteran or another superstar that you would like to see take his seat?
I mean, I haven't really thought about it. I know back in the past that they used to have the local guy come out, which I don't know. That's like, the local guys are good. At their local level, like, they're hard to beat. They know that track in and out. And we go to a lot of these tracks as new people to them and having to learn it within a couple laps of practice riding heat races, where these local guys have so many laps on them. So, I mean, it was cool to have the local guys around. I wouldn't mind bringing that back because of the cool perspective of it and giving people opportunities. But I would say bringing in like a big name dirt guy would be cool.
Johnny Benson Jr., who has been around the NASCAR scene and is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He fits the bill, and he's obviously going to be sitting in the car this week, so you're fucked. He looks like he's pretty good. But we've talked about this before, Spider and I. Who were we with? Zane Smith, I think. And we were talking about how when these superstars from the Cup Series come and they race on the lower series, Xfinity and trucks, does it bug him? Because sometimes there's drivers who are like, oh, my God, Kyle Busch comes in. And Zane Smith's like, no, if we want to be the best, we got to race against the best. So I'm telling you that Johnny Benson's going to be in this week when the Superstar Racing Experience heads to Michigan's Berlin Raceway for the fourth of its 6th 2023 summertime events. You'll also have Kevin Harvick. You're going to have Kyle Busch coming in for the second week, and then Casey Kane. How does it feel racing against these legends? Do they have a cheat code? Is it fair? Is it something that you relish doing? Is it something that you'd rather not do? Talk to me about having, like, all of a sudden looking out, your driver's side and there's Kyle Busch bearing down on you.
I mean, I think their cheat code is their talent. Like, they're so talented. And I feel like the guys that are coming in for a few races here and there, a lot of them are guys that are still racing and still on the top of their game, like Kyle Busch and those type guys. So it does make it tough. Kevin Harvick out there, it's tough. Like, it's hard. It's not easy by any means. It's probably some of the hardest racing because those guys got so much experience and so much talent. And for me, like, I'm trying to come up the ranks and show my abilities and while still learning at the same time. So I feel like there's stuff I can learn from those guys. And it's cool. I like the SRX series because we all get to hang out. We're all in 2 separate motorhomes and we're all there together. So it's like split half and half of the drivers. And we all really just like hang out, talk, have conversation. Like me, I've never really spoke much to Ryan Newman before, but I feel like we've talked so much through the past couple SRX races and even last season. Tony Stewart, me and him talk a lot now. And he's always talking to me about racing. We talk about dirt racing a lot. So I feel like these relationships that I would never have away from stock car racing, or just really even at the stock car track, not getting to talk to those guys very much because usually you're there to do a job. So I think at the SRX racing, you're kind of forced to build relationships with people, which I'm not mad about.
Ken Schrader seems like one of the nicest, happy guys in the world. And for him to seem that upset following the Paul Tracy incident, I feel like was a testament to where he was at with racing. And I digress. I guess I want to ask you, we had Tony Breidinger on the show earlier this year, and one question that I neglected to ask her was how we can get more females in the sport, whether it be fans or drivers. Do you have any solutions?
I mean, it's hard to say because the biggest thing for any driver is financial side. Either some drivers have very successful parents that can pay for the racing. My dad is very successful, but not NASCAR successful money.
Yeah.
He's very
Right.
successful in the moto world. So he definitely helped me get started in racing when I was in my lower teens. But at some point, you have to have money to keep going. And so I was able to bring upon a lot of sponsors, and he's had a lot of great relationships. I was able to have those sponsors and have those relationships already built to where they kind of transferred over on my side, like Ford and Monster. So I have got a lot of help from my dad growing up in the ranks, but I think you need to have the financial side of it, whether that's sponsors or if it's and I think at this point with racing, you have to just kind of accept the family money side of it, because 90% of those kids out there are family money paying for it, even in Xfinity. So it's one of those things you just got to accept at this point. And everyone's like, oh, they don't deserve that ride, or they don't deserve to be there. And you're like, well, they deserve it because they're paying for it. So what do you expect?
Right.
So I think you just need the financial backing, whether it's, I don't know if it's your family paying for it or getting sponsors. And I think it's how you market yourself on social media is the best way, at least how I've done it. Because I wouldn't be racing without the sponsors that I have. Like, I don't have that family money to pay for racing. So I would say that building your social media is the best way for a female to be in the racing world, which it is fairly easier for a female in racing in the car world to build their social media. So I think that side of it is that what you can utilize to continue to start getting into racing and marketing yourself to bring partners along.
I can tell you though, if it takes a lot of family money to get started in racing, my kids are fucked. I mean, there's no shot they're ever going to be behind the wheel. We're going to have to deal with that.
And I can't tell you how many people I've told that to, like where people come up to me and they're like, man, I want to get my son into racing, or, hey, we race late models. Like it happened at one of Hayden's supercross races. I was just there with my boyfriend, Chase, hanging out, watching my little brother race. And he's been killing it, by the way. But,
I've seen that.
And some kid came up to me and was talking to me. He's like, yeah, I've had like pulled my retirement. The dad was too, pulled my retirement to pay for his late model racing. And I'm like, I hate to break this to you, but unless you have money, it's going to be hard for you to go forward, even if you're winning everything.
I agree. So you alluded to it, obviously, that even though they're not uber wealthy, you are from a racing family. So you've been getting pushed around in different vehicles since you're on a tricycle. You're used to a little bit of rubbing as racing. We spoke to Denny about it, obviously, a lot after the Larson incident, and we're speaking to you about it again today with Paul Tracy. Where is the line for you between hard racing and just being a dick? Right, like Denny will embrace. I was about to say Denny will embrace the dick. That's a terrible soundbite for Denny. It's not true at all. But like sometimes he'll embrace the villain type thing. So where is that line for you? And you gave the guy actually a pretty good excuse, saying from the IndyCar traditional door bumper clear not existing. So maybe you guys will have to have a chat with Helio Castroneves, who I think you're racing against this weekend, or excuse me, on Thursday. Where's the line between hard racing and being a dick?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to talk to Helio about it, because I don't know the IndyCar side of things. I've never watched a lot of IndyCar racing. I watched a few races. Obviously, you watch like the big IndyCar races, but I haven't watched enough of it and been involved with it to know. So I'm gonna ask him. I'll ask him this weekend and see what he says about it. Yeah. But I think there's a fine line of just junking equipment. Like if you're at the point where you're junking yourself, like that's just ridiculous. So I think that if you're one of the cars that's completely destroyed after the race, when you're trying to move somebody or whatever it is, like that's when it becomes a problem. So I think that moving people is fine. And obviously doing stuff to where you're just completely destroying cars, I don't think that's okay. But I think if it's deserving to where if someone's ran you like super hard or laid on your door over and over and over and just raced you kind of like an asshole, like I think there's some point where you do owe them back. And so I think it's situational. I think going out there and just junking people is not okay. But moving people I think is okay. Moving them up out of the groove. If you move them a little bit too much, sometimes it's a little hard to gauge it at tracks that have low grip. So I think that there's certain circumstances that revolve around it.
Can I give a small follow-up, Spider, real quick? Will we ever see Hailie Deegan jump out of a car and punch somebody in the face? Because again, you didn't grow up, right? I mean, maybe you did to a certain degree with, Barbie dolls and whatnot, but you've also been on tracks where you've had to push your way around to get to where you are. Will we see Hailie Deegan throw a couple of punches a la Ross Chastain? How's the right hand? Yeah.
I can't tell you how many conversations like me and my boyfriend have had about that. Like, in situations where like I'm not gonna go and probably punch somebody because of the case that it can make someone else look bad. Like there's times I get pissed, like mad, really, really mad after races, and I think that it's you can go up to them and have a conversation, but like there's honestly like what's the point? Like you have a conversation with them. It's not like they're gonna like have like a self-reflecting moment, be like, man, you know what? I shouldn't do that. Like it's probably not gonna happen. And at least if someone came up and talked to me and has in the past, like I'm not gonna go and reflect on it and be like, wow, I shouldn't have done that. Like I
Right.
just drivers don't do that. And so I don't think you'll ever see me go and punch somebody because of the case that I am a girl and like if they do swing back on me, which probably would happen if I punched somebody, like
Right.
it would look really bad for them. So
Oh,
I
give it a
yeah,
whirl
like
though. Give it a whirl this week with like Kevin Harvick or something, just to see.
I don't
Because
think I
he's
did. Kevin's been too good to me in the past.
yeah, you're right. Absolutely, you do. But I mean, he's on his way out. So if you're going to take a poke at
No,
somebody, you might as well get him.
I
Yeah.
can never do that to someone with so much. I feel like that I have so much respect for in
Yeah.
racing.
He's the man. I agree.
So, Hailie, you've had a lot of different experience driving different cars, but only one Xfinity race, which you finished 13th in Vegas last season. When can we expect more Xfinity racing, and when is it time for you to move up?
I mean, I would hope soon. It's all financial side. And like, I would love to go to Xfinity. Absolutely love to. I'd love to run there full time next year, but it's just the financial side of it. And you go from these truck racing budgets of having to raise enough money in sponsorship for that. And then you go to Xfinity, which is about double. And if not more, if you want to run for a good
Really,
team.
that's a double to go from truck to
Mhm.
Xfinity.
Double, if not more.
Wow.
So you're looking at like, I'll be completely honest. If you want to, and I'll name numbers and stuff, but if you want to run for a good truck team, and this is probably around a vicinity, it's about $2 million a year to go and run for a A-level truck team. And to run for an A-level Xfinity team, you're looking at $4 to $5 million a year. So, and that's just the cold, hard truth of it. Like,
Right.
that's the truth, and no one wants to say it. I've heard Joey Logano talk about it, how when he went and ran the truck race, the Bristol dirt truck race, like he's a cup driver. He's a championship winning cup driver, and he still had to go pay for a truck race. So it costs money, like at the end of the day. So Xfinity, it's expensive too. And if you're able to raise enough sponsorship money to go do that, like that's what I'm trying to do.
Can you explain to us the difference between the driving experience behind wheeling a truck versus wheeling a Xfinity car? I've heard people say that Xfinity cars are easier to drive. Is there any truth to that?
I think that Xfinity cars are more reliant on you driving it. As weird as that sounds, like the trucks are so dependent on your setup and they're so aero dependent. Like they're the weirdest things I've ever driven in my lifetime, the most unpredictable. Like it's really hard to find that edge, at least for me in trucks and to some of the drivers that I've talked to, because they are so aero dependent. It's if you tap the wall, like at places, say like Darlington, when you run the fence at Darlington in an Xfinity car or a Cup car, whatever it is, and say you skim the fence in a truck, your whole right side's damaged and your truck is super free because you damaged the body, which is holding that air against you. So, and making you stable because the trucks are naturally set up so free because they're so aero dependent. And especially on a mile and a half stuff, you do the same thing on a mile and a half. Whereas Xfinity cars, they can take a little bit more beating here and there because they are less aero dependent than a truck.
I think if there's nothing else, we're going to wrap up. Spider, you have anything else for Hailie?
Yeah, I guess I got one more. I guess I
I
would
got
say
time.
We won't let you go.
I got time. You're good.
I feel like, I mean, Large and I are obviously fans of what you're bringing to the sport and everything, but there seems to be a lot of criticism regarding you. More like a lot of times it seems unfair. I guess how would you deal with handling all that criticism, especially from some people that are respected in the sport, whether they be previous drivers or veterans?
I mean, I take veterans' opinions for sure. People that have earned my respect and that I don't even want to say look up to, but just big names in the sport. Like I do take their criticism and think about it, but people that are not racing, have never driven a car, their only experience behind the wheel is going 65 miles per hour on a freeway, interstate. I don't really take their opinions. I appreciate the ones that support me. I do look at comments, supportive comments and stuff like that. And my favorite thing to do is blocking people that say negative things about me. Like my
I love
favorite
it.
thing.
Yeah.
I love it. If you went through my block list on Instagram, probably thousands of people, because I just enjoy it. I'm like, haha, you want to say something bad? Like, okay, you can never see my stuff
See ya.
again. And
I guess
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So one more, I guess, and I know you mentioned the importance of financials in this sport. Would you say, I mean, obviously the two go hand in hand, winning and financials, but how much do you think a win would do for your career? Would that alleviate some of the financial strain that you mentioned?
I think I wouldn't. If I was able to win in the Truck Series, I wouldn't have to worry about the financial side in Xfinity. I think it would definitely come with it. I think that there'd probably be more sponsors knocking down the door and things like that, but obviously I got to do that. I got to prove myself. And I've had a struggle for the past couple of years in the Truck Series. And I feel like we've had moments this year where we've hit our stride, gotten a couple wrecks. It starts back at square one and going back up. Like this last race at Richmond, we were so fast and the truck was so good. And I think we're going to have a really good run at IRP coming up because of how similar grip level wise and stuff like that, short track, because of how good we were at Richmond. So I think that having good runs is going to be super important for me, but having a win would definitely make my career a lot easier and probably a lot less stressful on the financial side for me.
You do have a lot of
Awesome.
time, though, right? I mean, being such a young girl, being such a young competitor, I shouldn't even say that because I don't see gender. But is it one of those things where you do feel as a 22-year-old that you're kind of in a catbird seat as far as being able to develop at your own pace? It's not one of those things where father time is knocking down your door, right?
I don't think the time is the thing that's against me. I think it's time to bring in the financial side. I think that's the hard part. I think it's how much time you have to raise that amount of money before Daytona starts, and you got to make sure you have all that money secured before the year. So I think that that's the thing that's not against me, but that's the battle a lot of drivers face.
Oh, go ahead, Spider. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say truck series playoffs starting now, I guess. What is can you preview that for us a little bit? What should we expect with the NASCAR Truck Series playoffs?
I mean, the Truck Series is so unpredictable as it is. So it's hard to say. Obviously, I would like to see one of my teammates doing good. But I think the ThorSport trucks are really, really strong. And there's a lot of smart people over there and a lot of experienced people. You see Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski, Matt Crafton, all those guys have a lot of experience, especially in the Truck Series. And so I think that you're going to see a lot of people kind of flip that switch and buckle down and really put all their time and effort into just being secure in the playoffs and trying to make that championship 4, which it's tough. Like I've been trying to make playoffs for 3 years and always at the beginning of the season, like, it starts off Daytona. I don't think I finished a Daytona yet. And Vegas, we've always got caught up in something there too. So I've always been behind the 8 ball when it comes to making the playoffs, because I'll get on a good stride after Vegas. And then all of a sudden, midway through the season, it's happened for 3 years straight. Midway through the season, we get in a couple wrecks and it takes us out of contention. So it's something I'm trying to break. I think I'm getting in like a circle. It goes all around, all back and forth every single year. So I think my next goal would be next year, say I was in the Truck Series or whatever series it is that I get to race into. I think that it would be probably hanging back in Daytona and just trying to finish that one.
We got a letter from a fan. It says, "Dear Hailie, I'm 6'6", 310 pounds. Would I be able to fit in a Truck Series truck?"
I mean, I don't want to say no because I've never seen it done, but also I have never seen it done. So I don't know.
All right, I wish I would have known that last week, to be honest with you. I don't even think I'm going to get in a truck, Spider. All right, I'm going to let you go now. Do you mind? We're going to cut her loose now. You can stay here all day. We'd love to have you back. You're going to be at Berlin Raceway this weekend, right? And you guys can catch all the action on the SRX, the Superstar Racing Experience. It's going to be on ESPN at 9 p.m. You can catch Hailie yelling at Helio Castroneves and Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick and the like. Hailie, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate your honesty and all that stuff. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you, Hailie.
All right, yeah, so that's Hailie. She's wonderful. I mean, like I said, one of the first people that I've ever met in NASCAR, that first Daytona trip, and she's still a good friend of the show, so we appreciate her coming on. With that, we'll go back into Richmond and figure out what had happened, and we'll get some over-unders for that. But it's a good time to talk to you guys that this podcast is presented by Coca-Cola. It just is. And we're just a couple of weeks away from enjoying a delicious Coke Zero in Daytona at the Coke Zero 400. And I've been drinking Coke at just about every track that we go to, Spider. I mean, you've seen me do it, and I've been drinking it. I don't know when Quiggs is going to come off the schneid and have his Coke for 2023. I'm assuming it would have been this week if he had Busher, but so I'm patiently waiting for that. But I'm going to keep doing it. I'll
do it my last New York episode.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
I'll
before
have
you
a
go off
Coke
the
during
shot.
the episode.
But either way, for us, and they've had a 25-year relationship with NASCAR, Coca-Cola family of drivers. We're a Coca-Cola family of podcasters. It seems like they go together like peas and carrots. So if you're watching NASCAR, if you're at a NASCAR race, have a Coca-Cola, and you decide for yourself whether it's the best Coke ever, because there's only one way to find out, and that's to take a taste. Let's talk about Richmond. As soon as I spoke to Spider, the first thing he popped to me was like, Large, in a 36-car field, it's the first time all 36 cars finished the race since 2018. So a relatively clean race as far as that goes. Everybody who started had finished. But still, it was a relatively boring race, right? Long green flag runs and stuff.
I fell asleep during stage 2.
Did you really?
I watched stage 1, stage 3, but I just fell asleep out of nowhere during stage 2.
But Chris Buescher, I mean, it's a good headline. Chris Buescher wins. He was an 80-1 shot. He wins the Cookout 400. His and his RFK team's first victory of the season after holding off our good friend Denny on a late restart to win by just over a half a second. Buescher is now the 12th driver to win a race in 2023, leaving 4 playoff positions available for a new winner or the top drivers in points after these final 4 races of the regular season. I'm going to go right to you, Spider, if that's okay, and right to you, Sean, if that's okay. What were the over-unders of this race for you guys?
I mean, over-under's got to be RFK. I mean, we said how many consecutive episodes that they're knocking on the door. They got unbelievable speed, and they delivered here. Brad K led the most laps at this race. He finished 6th after a little hiccup there at the end. But his teammate, Chris Buescher, like you said, Large, super long odds, and he gets it done. That last stage, he just absolutely looked unbelievable. And, yeah, shout out RFK. Big week for them. Other overs, I'm taking Ryan Preece. I think he over-delivered in the car that he had. He got a 5th place finish, and the rest of his team as well. SRH was really strong here. Almirola was 8th. Like I said, Preece was 5th. Harvick 10th, and Briscoe 11th. So all 4 of their cars in the top 11, and I think that was super encouraging. Under, I'm taking the under on Trackhouse. Trackhouse underperformed, in my opinion. Ross Chastain finished 24th and Daniel Suarez 33rd. It seems like these guys are either feast or famine week after week, and it seems like they've been famine for the last couple weeks. So needed more from them. I think they underperformed. They underwhelmed me a little bit. And then my final under is, and I know this isn't really related to the Richmond race, how about the F1 Belgium Grand Prix? I think that was just I hate to be a hater and sound off in the comments on your opinion on the fact, but Max Verstappen is winning, like, I think he has 12 wins out of 14 races or something like that. Like, at some point it's just not even.
Was that bet you put in pre-race or was that live odds?
That was pre-race.
He's what, minus 400 pre-race?
He's minus 400 before the green flag flies, starting 5th on the grid. I had to get involved and just see what that was all about. And at first I was like, oh, is he going to do this? I don't really watch a lot of F1. So he started like 5th on the grid, I think. And then on the first turn, I think he made up 2 spots. And then it started raining. The other guys pitted, and he just took the lead. And he held the lead and never looked back. So I don't know. Maybe F1 qualifying is lit, but the races seem pretty predictable at this point. And I don't think it's really good. I don't think it's great for the sport to see the same driver win week after week. Like, you look at NASCAR, 12 different winners this year. I think that's super encouraging regarding the parity that exists in the sport. Yeah. F1 is just like, we get it. Like, Max's team is the richest, but
that's somebody more than that. Chris Buescher level in F1 will never, ever win a race.
Yeah. Imagine catching an 80-1 F1 outright winner. Like, what? Like, yeah. Logan Sargent from 20th comes up and wins. I don't know. It was super. I'm glad I cashed. And I think F1 betting is easy, especially compared to the game that we play here. But the race itself leaves a lot to be desired. So I'm taking the under. I was a little bit underwhelmed as I watched that on my flight back from Richmond.
Does anything jump out at you this week, Quiggs?
I mean, I think RFK is obvious over. I think I throw Chase as an under. I mean, Josh Berry finished second when he was in his car. I thought this was really a good race for him to kind of compete, and just the longer it went on, the less competitive he was.
Hendrick was invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just weren't good. I think that's kind of it. I don't know if under is the right term, but Denny, a little bit on that last lap, I felt like he was less aggressive than he would have been if he wasn't in the controversy. Not that he had any clear opportunities to do anything, but I would have liked to see that restart if he wasn't in a Denny's a dirty racer controversy currently. Like I think he may have been
slid up the track.
I think he may have been a little more aggressive and willing to make some contact there. But I also bet on Denny, so I think that may be why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Staying kind of with Denny, I think 2311 should be like recognized a little bit, and I have them as kind of unders because Bubba led 80 laps mid-race, which is the most he's led in a race in his whole career.
Yeah.
He had a great day, and then earned him a handful of stage points, so they didn't walk away empty-handed. But then his team had a slow tire change during a green flag pit stop on lap 175, and he wound up finishing 12th. And so, like, one of those great races that almost at one point seemed like it was 2311's to win, because with 56 laps left, Reddick was on the pole, right? And, teammate to Bubba, he was flagged for a commitment line violation coming to pit road on a green flag stop. So he finished 16th after leading every lap of stage one and claiming his 4th stage win. So again, 2311 stepped away with some stage points and whatnot, but they just couldn't close it. And I think both of those, the penalty and the bad pit stop, are things that are easily rectified. We saw Denny do it earlier in the season, so it's actually going to affect the way that I'm betting this week. Paint schemes.
Wait, one more.
Go, please.
Oh, just for over, I forgot about it. Ty Gibbs pit crew. Have you guys seen the video of their like record pit stop?
No.
Yeah.
It is mesmerizing. Like, could not be more flawless. I don't see how you beat it. It was
The
8.54 seconds, 4 tires, fuel. It is. There's not an inch of error. Like, it's crazy.
Really? Sub 9, 4 tires and fuel.
Just
wow.
Crazy. You have to watch the video.
Anything jump out at you paint schemes this week, Spider?
Yeah, let me see what I got. My number one far and away was the Ryan Blaney 12 body armor car. I love when body armor gets involved in his car. I think they've done some great ones in the past. We saw the Kobe tribute one. Was that him or was that William Byron?
That was Blaney.
Okay, yeah. So they did that one. They had the cherry lime one the other week that was green and red, which I thought was awesome. And then this week the awesome red yellow body armor 12. I thought it was sweet. Blaney, great car, always in contention, and now he's got the scheme to go with it. So that was my favorite of the week.
I'll tell you what, I usually love this guy, but I'm going to shit on the worst of the week. I thought was the Kleenex car. I don't know why I wasn't crazy about it. I don't know. Grab a Kleenex for because it reminds me of either having seasonal allergies or needing to masturbate. So I was like, neither of those bring back great memories for me. So the Stenhouse 47 Kleenex car. But I was watching Xfinity just for a little bit because, by the way, all next week we're going to be just concentrating on Xfinity, and we'll get to that in a second. But John Hunter's, that mobile scheme.
That's very clean.
I think
very
that's
simple.
Clean as shit.
Yeah.
Simple red, white, and blue. The 20 without any kind of weird outline to it. And obviously the iconic Mobile 1. Man, I love that car. And then before we came on, Spider gave me the leader in the clubhouse for this week. And we'll go back to Stenhouse. That Minute Rice one. I think I love that. Fast.
No,
so
you
slow
can't
down.
say
I
that's
love
better
that.
than the Kleenex car.
You think that this? Okay, well, I mean,
I guess
agree to disagree, but
it's more interesting.
like it's got the
I think
grains
I'm
of
with
rice
Quiggs.
coming off. You don't like it?
The Kleenex car is like a cleaner, better design.
Mm-hmm.
But I
It's
mean,
also-
if
there's a
you're
little-
into just having a giant bowl of rice, then that's a better better scheme, I guess.
What was that, Spider?
The Kleenex scheme to me was just funny. Like watching him walk around with Kleenex on his chest and just like that obnoxious of Kleenex in your face. It's just ridiculous. So I kind of loved it, and I kind of liked it way more than the Minute Rice one. The Minute Rice one is just, I don't know. Like you said, Quigs, you just need got to be a big rice fan to like that one.
Maybe I am, because there seems to be a delicious rice dish here. I believe that's cilantro. So maybe it's some sort of Spanish medley rice or something. And there's a fat guy coming back. Doesn't really matter. Alrighty, so that's the paint scheme thing. We're going to talk about something that happened to us this week. Spider and I were lucky enough to be invited down to Richmond for a ride-along. We were invited down to do a ride-along with some guy named Dale Earnhardt Jr. So we're going to tell you about that, and it's brought to you by Factor. We got a new sponsor, Factor. With the busy fall season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. It can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, you'll eat well, and you'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle if you have one. Refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34 weekly flavor-packed, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to eat in 2 minutes. You can level up with Gourmet Plus options. And this August, you can get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered right to your door. Okay, Large, I want to eat good food that's healthy, and I want to do it quickly. Let me know how I can. Head to factormeals.com/rubbin50. RUBBIN50. Factormeals.com/rubbin50. And then use the code rubbin50, same one, to get 50% off your order. That's code rubbin50 at factormeals.com/rubbin50 to get 50% off.
It's a lot.
It might as well try it.
50%.
Honest to God.
Oh, I'm gonna try. I need to switch up the way I get like food delivery every night, and in Chicago that's like my goal. So this would
stop
be
it,
because I'm not built to like go grocery
I'm being
shopping.
told Fasoli over here on our end is gassing up Factor.
He's a Factor guy?
Is he?
Go ahead.
I did Factor for about 5 months. It was the greatest thing. I did them in New York. I got them delivered right to the office, and I walked them home to Hoboken.
You
They're
got your
delicious.
food delivered, your at-home food delivered to the office.
Yeah,
Why
because
didn't you just
I
get
don't trust
delivered to your house?
stuff being delivered to my house when I'm not there.
Respect.
Either way, Factor, check them out.
Yeah.
Especially 50% off. I mean, that's definitely worth the look.
Yeah, just give it a shot. Yeah, so I'm remiss in saying that we obviously have Liam on the ones and twos here in New York. We have a guy in Chicago, Fasoli, on the ones and twos for Spider. And just so you guys know, guy's a fucking maniac. I mean, I like him, but I don't trust him type thing. You know what I mean? Fasoli's one of them. Let's keep going for this ride-along thing. As per Adam Stern, I'm going to start with this little thing. Adam Stern had tweeted out, NASCAR's in talks about investing millions of dollars into new driver incentive programs that would start in 25 and reward the sport's leading spokespeople for promoting it more. Okay, that's pretty simple. NASCAR is going to reward drivers who promote NASCAR. It might be like a rankings-based approach. Nobody knows about it. But starting in 25, if you promote the sport, you're going to get some sort of credit for it. The reason I bring that up is because they should consider Dale Jr. Even though he's no longer an active driver, consistently active driver, this guy is the best diplomat I've seen for this sport so far.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. So they invited us down. They invited Spider and us down to Richmond, Virginia this weekend. And by the way, 102 degrees. It was fucking brutal. We stood there in a air-conditioned hangar, which had. How's the food in that thing, Spider? Can you comment on that?
The food was elite. The food was elite. I'll be the one to talk about how great the food was, Large. Yeah. Don't worry. They had steak tartare. I don't even know what you call it. Steak crustinis, like a little bruschetta with steak on it. Everything. They had mini egg rolls. Crab cakes. Yeah. So they really pulled out all the stops for us.
So I wasn't there. Who was the crew in that hangar with you? Is it people who signed up for ride-alongs? Was it who was?
I will tell you right now. I think I know what it was. A lot of it was Dale giving away what we were about to go to because there were a couple of people there with their kids then I think there was a couple of people who probably paid up for it. They seem like they had donors. Then, you know, the influencer guests, which would be me and Spider in this case.
Yep.
So it was a nice mix. By the way, I think Dale Jr. is not as big as John Cena. John Cena, I think, has the most Make-A-Wish grants ever for that thing. Like, John Cena just shows up to the hospital. He's supposed to be, I mean, it's supposed to be fucking fantastic. But Dale Jr., has done hundreds of them as well. Guy's extremely fucking charitable. But we get there, and they were like, we're going to go on a ride-along. The young lady who set this up, I'm not going to call her out. I told her, I am 6'6", and I am 310 pounds, give or take. Whatever. Will I fit? Yeah, you should fit. No problem. I come all the way down to fucking Virginia. They said, what size fire suit are you? I'm like, I'm a 3XL, you know, but maybe I can squeeze into a 2XLT. They're like, it only goes up to XL. I'm like, oh, man, we're in trouble. I brought a pair of driving shoes that I had. They're old boxing shoes that I had never worn. And I brought those because they look like driver shoes. There was a big table where as soon as you got there, you put whatever you wanted on the table so Dale would sign it. So I put a shoe out. Dale signed the shoe, and he signed a couple. You got a couple of hats, right?
Yeah, I got these hats. We're going to give them away. So subscribe and drop a comment, and I'll pick someone.
Excellent. We'll get to that, too, again. Dale comes in, signs everything. Everyone had to submit a question if they wanted to. He wound up picking my question, which was what was more impressive, Gregson's chin or Chastain's punch. It was just very, very nice. Very, you know, respectful guy. Told a couple of stories about the graveyard on his property where he just collects derelict race cars and just puts them in the woods in his property, including a couple like land rockets and whatnot. And then it got time to, we got a swag bag. The swag bag on it was filled. I got a children's book that he wrote. Did you check this bag? The bag was awesome. I did. I got Dale Earnhardt's Buster's Trip to Victory Lane. Honestly, a koozie, couple of hats, all this kind of stuff. So it was just very, very positive. Spider and I get into fire suits. We go out onto the track, and instead of taking us in a pace car, which we've done before, which is awesome, but it's limited, right? Because you're essentially in a fucking Toyota. They put us in a cup car. And we get into fire suits. Spider's fire suit fits like a glove. I look like a sausage that split its casing. Again, it's 102, sun beating down on us. We have the Hans device, the big helmets on, sweating fucking like we swam to the track. And everyone has to go one by one. They're giving you bottles of water and cold compresses. And Dale gets in the car, and he does a couple of laps with everybody that was there. And since we were the guys that their team was concentrating on, we went last. Spider went before me. Spider climbs into the car that is now registering inside the car 133 degrees. It's 133 degrees inside the car, according to Dale's guy. Spider, you climb into the car. What was it like?
It was one of the coolest experiences. As you said, we've done pace cars and ride-alongs at Daytona, I think, and Talladega maybe. At the big tracks is my point. Mm-hmm. So to be at a short track was really cool, and I was not prepared for just how insane and aggressive the braking was going to be. Like, don't get me wrong, I trusted Dale Jr. the whole time, but we were right up against the wall, and then all of a sudden, like, just as you think we're going to keep, like, the time between going on the brake and on the gas was incredible to me. I couldn't believe just how quick those guys make the change from just full acceleration to full braking, and they make it seem like so easy. After the fact, I asked Dale Jr., I was like, is there something like on the fence that you use as a braking zone, or like how do you know? And he's like, just feel it out. And for him to be able to like just know, I mean, maybe it's past experience there, but for them to just know what feels right is just so incredible to me. And the fact this car we were in was prepared by Rick Hendrick, and it was like very much a legitimate full-blown car. It just had a second seat in there. So that was really cool to get like the full experience and just getting the G-forces kind of pulling, sucked down to the track on the ground. And the amount of grip the cars have was pretty insane to me. I felt like often, like I thought before, we were going to like slide a little. Just insane. So close to the wall.
I will tell you, I was speaking to his reps, and by the time you had gotten into the car, because again, there was like a person older than me there, all that kind of stuff. The guy's like, no, I said, is he taking it easy because of the civilians? He's like, I can tell you right now, as you go past me, Spider, zooming past me, he's like, that's very close to the qualifying times that you guys were just watching before we started this.
Wow.
So it's because it's Dale, right? Yeah. It's not, I had Biffle drive me in a pace car, and Biffle's a little bit crazy. So he really opened the thing up more so than he should have. But Dale was driving this, and he said that he was preparing to drive another hot weather race. So this was a good tune-up for him. So Dale pulls in. As soon as he pulls in to let Spider out, he gets pulled out the window. They put the blower into the car. They have one of those like DeWalt blowers or Black & Decker or something like that, Craftsman, blowing into it. Basically hot air, though. So they pull Spider out, and he's, elated, hands in the air and stuff. So now it's my turn to get in. And I put both feet in this thing. I cannot, my feet are already on the ground, and they're asking me, so I can't bend my knees. So my knees are up against the fucking dashboard. And then I sort of like get down to where I'm almost in the seat, but I can't get my head in. So this guy, please, he starts trying to like close a suitcase. He's pushing my neck in. And then like this 130-degree car, I couldn't fit. Like it just is the thing. So I had to tap. And it was, I felt like the fat kid at the prom all over again, sitting on the wall. And it was absolutely humiliating. The only thing that saved me is so many people have reached out to me since then. Because as soon as it happened, Quiggs threw it up on social, every place he could. I'm dying for the main page to elevate our stuff. Viva threw it up. Barstool's main page threw it up. It went up as far, except for Dave's personal page, it went up everywhere Barstool could. And so many people reached out to me and said, Large, there's no way that you, just height-wise, we're not even talking about the fat. We're just talking about the height-wise. Like one guy said, I went down and we did a similar thing, I forget which track in Texas, and we had the Dallas Cowboys. 75 to 80% of them couldn't do it. And I am bigger than 75% of the Dallas Cowboys, taller. I can tell you that right now. I've taken up pictures with athletes, you know what I mean? I've worked with so many of them and whatnot. I'm a big son of a bitch. It's not a fucking ironic nickname, and I am pissed that they tried to put me in that goddamn thing. So anyway, so I can't go in, right? So now Dale gets out, and he's an absolute gentleman. He sees that I'm dejected, like a kid that just lost his puppy. He's like, Large, I just want you to know what you and Spider are doing. We appreciate so much. Right? And tell me if I'm making any of this shit up, Spider, please.
No, I think we got that part on video, and that was honestly one of the...
Yeah, and this is a bucket
probably
list...
the coolest compliment you could get.
Yeah, bucket list event in general for NASCAR fans. To jump into a cup car and do laps with Dale Jr. is already a bucket list event. He comes over. He's so, like, not reading off his hand. We're so happy what Rubbin is racing is doing. Like, he's naturally, or excuse me, like, legitimately thankful to us. And then he takes off his driving gloves. You know, he drives with these skeleton print gloves. And he says, Spider, I want you to have these. So he throws you the gloves, and which essentially is his thing, right?
Yeah, so as you mentioned before, he's really just the man. He does everything for NASCAR. And you get rich, you get famous, you make a name for yourself. A lot of these guys just, theoretically, if they wanted to, they could just hang it up and ride off into the sunset and go quietly and enjoy the rest of their life. Not Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's just the man. He gives back so much to the sport. And not only with what you described, Large, but... the Dale Jr. Foundation is just massive. So last year, I think 50 drivers wore skeleton gloves, and they were all auctioned off for charity, for Dale Jr.'s charity, the Dale Jr. Foundation, which, not to brag, I made a sizable contribution to after the fact, just because I felt really spoiled by the experience and grateful for the time we spent together.
I didn't. Fuck that thing. They can't fit me in a car. They're not getting a penny off of me. Sorry, I apologize.
Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, Dale Jr. is really the man. This charity that he runs helps so much. I think they've donated to over 300 charities. They help children's hospitals. They help kids with school supplies. They helped struggling families and food initiatives. So really, you name it, Dale Jr. has had his hand in. And I mean, the experience couldn't have been better. Especially, it's one thing you're in the car, you can't really talk to him, your head's kind of glued to the back of the seat. Like, I tried to go over and say what up. The most I could do was a fist bump, but that's when I saw the gloves. I was like, damn, those things are even cooler in person.
Right.
And then at the end, as we're walking out, I was like, man, those gloves are so sick. I don't know if that's me like dropping a line in there like, hey, give them to me. I wasn't really trying to do that. I was literally just trying to compliment him. Next thing you know, he hands them over to me. This is probably one of the coolest things I've received. I'm gonna frame him, get him hung up in my room or something. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he couldn't have been a nicer guy.
So the Driven to Give program too, where he did put him with all the guys and then auction him off, was a big windfall for charity and whatnot. And I don't think it was one of those ones where you shook him down for it. And then I'll give you a little bit of credit. As we're walking off the track, Spider says, here's one for Finnegan, meaning to give one to my son, who's a race fan. I couldn't split up that set. Like, you got to have two together. In his sim rig, like with the real ones like on, it's just too good of a thing. So I appreciate it. I had to politely decline. But I think the point here is that, when we're talking about villains in NASCAR, we talk about his dad a lot. The Intimidator and all that stuff. I don't know many people who don't like Dale Jr. And I don't know if he couldn't. He went up in my book obviously this weekend, even though I got fucked trying to get shoved into a car like that last pair of panties in a packed suitcase. It was absolutely
Large. Let me ask you,
please.
Do you think if you could have got your head in there, like what? So let's say you could have got your head that last little inch,
right?
Are your knees like fucked during the ride?
There's no way I could bend my legs. So if I was to do it, my knees would be up around my chest, right? Like I like my hips can get in. It wasn't like a problem with that. So it wasn't like a big fat ass thing. But I'm too big. Like, me, I'm just too. And he said to me, Large, we're gonna get you in a car. He's like, I was like, what are you going to put me in the back of one of the trucks? He's like, no, there's some bigger cars there's some bigger stock cars at some other tracks. I'll get you out on the track. And I tend to believe him. Or maybe not. Maybe he's just full of shit.
I think he's the number one ambassador for any sport. Like, no one does any more for their respective sport than he does, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's an argument. I do. Here's another question.
I don't think there's an argument. I think it's a fact.
It's fact? So here's my question to you, because we weren't able to come up with this. I'll take that he's the best spokesman for a sport, former athlete particularly. Is there a comp to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in any sport? A guy whose father is on the Mount Rushmore, on everybody's Mount Rushmore, right? Is senior. And then he comes in afterwards and has a very good career. Nothing like his dad, and then he's still with the sport, like I'm saying, this big ambassador for it. Is there a comp in any other sport for that?
Tiger in golf, but
his dad wasn't that good. No, his dad's not. I'm talking about somebody whose dad was that good.
I need somebody's dad.
Yeah,
is there two generations?
Is there a father-son where the dad was that bigger? That's probably the closest we were able to come up with.
That's what we said, Liam. We were at the track thinking.
Yeah.
So wait, the son's bigger than the dad?
No.
No, the dad's bigger than the son, but the son's still good. Prince and Cecil Fielder.
Yeah, but Fielder wasn't a Rushmore guy.
Yeah, no.
Vlad isn't either, but
Steph Curry.
His dad wasn't that great.
Yeah.
His son's much better.
I'm doing it the opposite way.
Yeah, it's impossible. Like, look at Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. is kind of a Dale Earnhardt-ish, a Dale Jr. guy, but Ken Griffey wasn't Dale Senior.
I don't know.
I don't think it exists.
LeBron and Bronny.
Once
that plays out,
does Wayne Gretzky have a kid or something?
Right.
I don't know. Like, Michael Jordan's son played for USF or something. It sucked. But I feel like you have to make it to the lead.
I thought the closest one that I got, and I think that I'm probably closer than Vlad and Vladdy or whatever, I think it's Muhammad Ali and Layla. Because Muhammad Ali is a Rushmore guy. Yeah. I don't think anyone says, who's the best baseball player, and you put Vlad up there. But you put Muhammad Ali up there, and then Layla did a lot in women's boxing where she had a bunch of belts, but she was nowhere near her dad. So if anyone else has any other ideas on that, wow, I think I just nailed it shut, though, with the Muhammad Ali-Layla thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking close. With that, let's preview what's going on this week. Only 4 races remaining in the regular season, as I said, including the end of this week's doubleheader in Michigan. Sunday at 2:30 Eastern Time, the Firekeepers Casino 400 is on USA. Harvick is the defending race winner, but that's not what I'm going to talk about right now. I want to talk about the Cabo Wabo 250. which starts at 3:30 Eastern Time Saturday, and it's going to be shown on NBC. Spider and I, Quiggs, Liam, the whole goddamn crew here, even Fazoli, even though we don't like him, even Fazoli, are thrilled to announce that Cabo Wabo has asked Spider and I to be a partner with them, and they're the official tequila of NASCAR. The official tequila. It's a thick cut, 100% Blue Weber agave tequila born in Mexico with an all-American attitude. We will be on site this Saturday in Brooklyn, Michigan, the Irish Hills of Michigan, because we're going to be the Grand Marshals at the Cabo Wabo 250. We got to figure out what we're yelling. We'll get back to that in 2 seconds, Spider, but we got to get on the same page with that. So if you are anywhere near Brooklyn, Michigan, or an hour or so, wherever the hell you are, get your ass to the track. We're going to be on the Midway. We're going to be doing cocktails. I'm going to be making the Smoke Show, which is the cocktail of the summer made with Cabo Wabo tequila. We'll be shaking hands and kissing babies, and most importantly, saying, "Gentlemen, start your engines," as Grand Marshals of the Cabo Wabo 250. So if you are headed to the Cabo Wabo 250, come visit us in the Cabo Wabo garage on the Midway. And if you can't, I still recommend you enjoy the bold taste of Cabo Wabo tequila anytime you're watching a race, or any other time if you want. Go to CaboWabo.com, learn and check out some great drink recipes. You got to be 21 years or older to enjoy this, and you have to handle this responsibly. Cabo Wabo tequila is 40% alcohol, 80 proof, and that's it. We're extremely excited to be part of the Cabo Wabo team, the official tequila of NASCAR. What are we going to say for our call? What are we going to do?
Drivers!
Is that it?
Start your engines!
And we got to do it in tandem, right? Or do you want to do it like back and forth? Drivers!
Well, that's you. Yeah, you guys have there's no, like, you have to say just those words, right? There's no customization. It's just how you say it.
Well, there's that, what's the guy?
But that's a prayer if you're thinking.
No, the guy from King of Queens. He has that.
Kevin
he has
James?
that one
Oh,
where he
yeah.
says he's like God bless America, God bless the troops, and start your engines or something.
Yeah,
Really?
so
Is
maybe you do have some
What is it?
leeway.
Kevin James.
That's hot.
Kevin James. Yeah.
That's hot, Spider. We're going to have to get some guidance from them. We have a call later on today. But if we could throw in something like that, God bless America, Hillary 2024, gentlemen, start. Sorry, Quiggs wrote that in. Gentlemen, start your engines, right? Greta Thunberg was right. Gentlemen, start your engines. That would be fucking
I'm sure they would love that.
Right. I had to write our intro. So the intro, they were just saying, we're just going to say host of the Rubbin' His Racing podcast. I was like, no. Spider and Large are, I forget what is it, chief correspondents for Barstool NASCAR. Very good friends with Dale Jr., tequila enthusiasts, and co-hosts of Rubbin' His Racing. So that's going to be the intro, and then we'll bang it out. If anyone knows what the hell we should be talking about when this thing starts, hit us up. All right, so there's only one thing left to do, and that's picking the tires, brought to you by Barstool Sportsbook. This week I'm going to go first. You guys cool with that?
Yep.
And unlike other weeks, this week we're going to choose a winner of the Cabo Wabo 250, which again, Spider and I are going to be the Grand Marshals for this Saturday in Brooklyn, Michigan. So I'll start with that race. I went to a friend of mine who's going to be at the race. Spider, you're going to meet this guy. His name is Tanner. He's a dairy farmer from Wisconsin. They call him the Vanilla Gorilla. He's this big dude, him and his wife. His wife's a very pretty girl. He's tough to look at. So I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. But Tanner's one of my guys that's a go-to. And I asked him, who does he like? Huge Xfinity fan. And he gave me Brandon Jones, and I agree with him. I like Brandon Jones. This is from Tanner. He's shown good speed there historically and is really good at preserving tires, which can become critical at Michigan. He's on the outside looking in for the playoffs, and this is going to be his last chance on a non-road course speedway to punch his ticket. So I jumped onto the sports book to grab Brandon Jones, and I got him to win on Saturday at plus 2,000. There's a lot of thinner odds on there, obviously, because it's a top-heavy place.
Yeah.
But
I think if you're going long shot, he's the guy.
Okay, so I'm locking in Brandon Jones at plus 2,000.
Love it.
What do you think? Yes?
I love it. I mean, Brandon Jones, he's been on my mind a lot as of recently, so why not take him?
That's
here?
what I'm saying.
Especially
Spidey
20 to
scoops.
1.
Yeah.
20 to 1. I think that's worth a look.
Yeah. And if I cash on him, we'll have him on. He can confirm or deny the Spidey scoop. It'll be nice.
Yep. And he's also a better driver than what we've seen this year. I think he's a guy, like we said, Noah probably deserves a little bit more time showing his skills on the Cup level. I think Brandon Jones, he's shown his skills at the Xfinity level with a great Joe Gibbs Racing season last year. And I think he deserves a little bit more time with Junior Motorsports to show what he's capable of in their equipment. So
yeah, I'm going to also say, because I had mentioned them as underperformers, kind of, the 2311 guys. I think what went wrong last week can be fixed, and so I'm all over him this week. And part of it is because of our guy, Derek Yoder. I'd bumped into him and his family at the track a couple of weeks ago, so I was talking to him, and it's one of the reasons why I'm taking Bubba for a top 3 finish at plus 450. This is from Derek. When it comes to a venue like this, Bubba has already scored a win on a comp back in Kansas 2022, which we were at. Assuming this team can unload fast, right, like fix what ails them and give them quality pit stops, the 23 will be in the mix come late on Sunday. You know, I don't pick winners, but I'll certainly take them as a top 3 at plus 450. I'm also going to take 2311 to win. I'm going to take the team because that's plus 700. So I got Bubba as a top 3 finish. I got 2311 as the team winner. I got Brandon Jones as the race winner on Saturday. And I'm fucking around with the little one I'm fucking around with another one that's a little bit longer odds, even on a top 3. But I think I might take Austin Dillon. I may take Austin Dillon as a top 3 finish at plus 2,500. So those are 4 of them. Yeah, that'd be a big hit. And I don't know. You know me, I've been speaking to Swanee, and those guys are doing some things. So I think I like AD this week. That's it for me. Those are my 4. Quiggs, you're up next.
So I'm gonna also I'll put a bet in on Brandon Jones as well.
You're gonna ride me?
That. Yeah, but I've got a different one too.
Okay.
I won't. Brandon Jones won't be on my card.
Really?
I'll let you have that solely, but I do think that's an awesome pick. I'm going AJ Allmendinger in the Xfinity.
Really?
He's got 2 races, 1 win, 1 7th place finish, plus 1,200. I like that a lot. I mean, Ty Gibbs is probably going to win it, but I just don't want to take plus 450. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm going to do Dinger for the Xfinity race. And then for the Cup, 2 guys, Kyle Larson and Joey Logano. Kyle Larson plus 700, Logano plus 1,400. Logano, I think, is second in laps led at this track. Larson just has that feeling of, like, whenever Kyle Larson is quiet enough for a while and doesn't have a win, he's just going to get one. So those are my 2 plays.
I like it.
Love it. Xfinity, I'm gonna go a little different route than you guys. I love Brandon Jones, and I would love for him to win. As Quig said, I might sprinkle a little, but I don't think it's gonna be on my card. I'm gonna give you 2 guys 12-1, and both of their last names end with Smith. Chandler Smith and Sammy Smith, I think, are 2 of the strongest dogs we've got in the Xfinity race, Xfinity series rather. And those guys seem like they're always in contention. They're in good equipment, and they're both guys that are scratching and clawing for their opportunity at the next level. So I think both those guys have a good shot. Outside of that, like Quig said, Ty Gibbs is probably a good bet here. And then I'm also intrigued by Austin Hill, who's 8-1. But I'm going to stick with the Smiths at 12-1 each and rock with that for the Cabo Wabo 250, which we'll be pumped to be at. And we're probably going to be feeling pretty good by the end of that race as the checkered flag flies. So if we can cash a 12-1, I think that will be even higher buzz.
A couple of smoke shows in us, and then all of a sudden we hit a big one. Oh,
yeah.
Watch out, Brooklyn, Michigan.
And then moving on to the Cup Series, I'm kind of with Quiggs. I'm all over the Fords this week, and I'm going to start with Ford plus 250 to win the thing. Longest odds out of any of the manufacturers, and they have more cars in the field than Toyota does. I'm not saying all their cars are, more inclined to win, but I think there are a few that are. And Quiggs mentioned Joey Logano plus 1,400. I also like Ryan Blaney, who is, let me see, I think he's 12-1. So another 12-1 for you, Ryan Blaney. Joey Logano's 14-1, and then lastly, I'm going to take Brad K 25-1. So 3 outrights this week. Plus, I'm giving you Ford to win the race. And fuck it, you know what?
Get him, Spider.
Do it. I'm
considering just taking off Joey and Blaney and just adding Penske plus 600 to win the thing. Let's do that. So I'm going to give you 3 picks. Ford plus 250 to win, Penske plus 600 to win, and Brad K 25-1 to win. Those are my Cup Series picks. I think it's going to be all Fords.
Yeah, bro.
And in the mecca of building cars, you know?
I also like
Detroit.
not taking it because I'm a Kevin Harvick hater, but the numbers, like, this is a Kevin Harvick track. I think he has 5 wins in the last 10 races. So if you are a Kevin Harvick believer, this might be the track to put some on him.
I am the Kevin Harvick believer, and now I'm just thinking, do we take him SRX and then on Sunday too? Right?
That'd be cool.
Kevin Harvick sweep. That would be the modified happy.
But I don't
sweep.
know. I just don't think he
has
a winning car this year.
Yeah, I stayed away. The Ford bet hit last week. I hit on that. So if we update the betting standings, I think I'm pulling away, Spider. I'm pulling away, buddy. In that 2 spot.
Fuck it. Give me 2 units on Ford plus 250.
You guys are
to win this
lucky
fucking thing.
Hamlin didn't win last week.
Oh, my God.
If I got another win under my belt.
Oh, you'd be absolutely unbearable.
Quiggs, I thought you had that locked up when Suarez spun with 10 to go. I thought for sure that Denny was going to have an aggressive restart. As you mentioned before in the show, he was pretty conservative with it, and he didn't really ruffle any feathers. But
I think majority
like
of
Denny
people,
was
if you're like, hey, three laps to go, restart, you can either have Hamlin or Buescher. They're going to take Hamlin. Like, I felt all right, but it's good to see Buescher win one.
Yeah, good for him.
Shout out to anyone who had him. You have to be a psycho to have had him, but
what a ticket.
If you got him, I think it was 80 to 1.
80 to 1, yeah, good for them. Alrighty, so that's it for this week. Again, anywhere near Michigan, stop by and we'll mix you up some drinks at the Cabo Wabo 250, and otherwise we'll see you guys next week. Rubbing is Racing.
Peace.